Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be giving you my Aquarius July 2020 horoscope forecast part 2 of 2. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, people, first thing up is, well, Mars will be in Aries, so the third house is what will be emphasized and highlighted, and this could manifest in having abundance of mental and physical energy, especially as far as the physical end being, with Mars being in its dignity, of course, in energetic Aries. You might be demonstrating a mechanical ability, perhaps helping neighbors. It could be working on vehicles, or something with local transport, anything with local transportation. It could be something too where you may inject a lot of energy into Aries communications. It could be talking about arson, fires, or something with combat, like combative sports, like judo, boxing, or wrestling. And you might be more outspoken in your communications, more so than usual at this time. The situation with siblings, cousins, and neighbors may be a little bit more contentious and acrimonious, more so than usual. This will definitely be, you could now say nothing's ever definite, but there's a very strong possibility and propensity again for being very direct, outspoken in your communications, and might surprise some people during this period, Aquarius. So anyway, well, the next thing up is, well, Jupiter will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So this could manifest in a number of ways. This could be very fortuitous for some kind of career or ambition that's 12th house related. It could be something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology or photography, chemistry. It could be doing prison work or working in a hospital, perhaps poetry, dancing. At this time, your exuberance and enthusiasm may be a little bit more limited, more so than usual. We're talking about Jupiter, the planet of enthusiasm, exuberance, and being in the 12th house of limitations. At the same time, this could also manifest in maybe perhaps philosophies that might be somewhat limited, where you're maybe very intransigent about regarding philosophical beliefs that are where you're very intransigent or inflexible, might be tied in to self-undoing at this time. And also too, this could also be a period where you may be, in some cases, it could be like hidden adversaries that might be Jupiter related. It might be people that are like in publishing or working in foreign travel, some people that are in religion, or anything that could be Jupiter related. Could be people that are in sports. And another way this could manifest and pan out too is that it could also be a period that could be very beneficial and fortuitous, perhaps for doing you could say doing some kind of publishing that's very consistent. That could be 12th house related. Again, something connected with the metaphysical, which can include astrology, spirituality, poetry, something with dancing, perhaps photography, chemistry. So anyway, in some cases too, especially if there's something already going on connected with what I'm going to say, sometimes remember that Jupiter, I talked about in previous videos, okay, could be very benign and benevolent, but it could also be very paradoxical. It could have a tendency to enlarge and expand. In some cases, this can enlarge some kind of a depressive mental illness in some isolated cases, but again, that could be very isolated. So anyway, and I'm talking about depression, of course, and despondency. So anyway, people, next thing up, well, Saturn will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, at this time, well, in some cases, the unknown might put you one in a state of fear or trepidation. It could be, sadly, in some cases, this could also manifest in the passing or departure of the father in one's life. It could be where the father might pass away, or it could simply be that the relationship with the father might be more dissipated, might be dissolving at this time. I have this placement natally, and sadly, my father succumbed to Hodgkin's disease when I was like 3 years old. So, and at this time, you might be a little bit more introspective, more reclusive, more so than usual. And older people, sadly, in some cases, might be hidden adversaries at this time. And keep in mind that really be careful about what could be in terms of, like, I mean, again, going back to fears at this time, it might be you might be somewhat apprehensive of even looking at your own limitations more so than usual at this time. And another way that this could manifest at this time, Aquarius, is that really being you're talking about Saturn, and I mean, Saturn can be like about time and timekeeping, and it might seem like the time is just moving like really very slow, or you might feel like you don't have enough time to do everything. Remember that you're talking about Saturn in the 12th house of limitations. So, and you might, and again, might be more reclusive, and it might be more secluded habits at this time, more so than usual. So anyway, well, next thing up, Uranus will be in Taurus still, so the 4th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. Now, one way this could be, this could manifest in some cases. You need to be careful regarding electric shocks in the home. If you're doing electrical wiring, there might be a greater propensity for this time in your home. Could also be a time too where you might be dealing with more shocking behavior from home family members, the less dominant parent, which is often the mother, people you're simply close to home with. You might be dealing with more unusual, bizarre, unorthodox behavior from these people during this time. But at this time, there might be, your home life might be, there may be instability in the home life at this time, and it might be very erratic and sporadic. You might be going through multiple moves at this time. I have Uranus right now in my 4th house in my progress chart, and I have moved like so many times since, for a very good period. During this time that Uranus has been in my 4th house in my progress chart, I have moved multitude of times, so it's not even funny. So I could relate to this. Another thing is that this could manifest too in friendships that are very stable at this time. We're talking about Uranus could be connected with friendships. Taurus is stable energy. Stable friendships might figure very prominently for that end or latter part of life, or that's maybe what you're hoping for at this time. If you're not in that latter or end part, that latter part of the life right now, this is what you might be desiring. And at this time as well, it could also manifest in some cases in doing something Uranus-like out of the home. It could be doing something with computers or astrology or innovation, something with electronics, aerospace, anything that could be Uranus related at this time. But you might be dealing with certain disruptions in connection with your emotional security at this time, and you may be using the internet more frequently and very persistently, given that this is Taurus energy, in terms of getting in touch with your roots and your ancestry at this time. Well, anyway, well, Neptune will be in Pisces still, so the 2nd house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. So at this time, well, it can manifest in a number of ways. You may be involved in some Neptune money-making endeavor. You may be, at this time as well, guard against becoming having overly unrealistic values at this time. It could also be about the dissolving of assets, but I'm really being flippant as far as that goes. Now, another way, I mean, this could go either way. This could be about the dissipation, dissolving of one's self-worth or self-esteem, or perhaps doing something Neptune related that might be tied in with greater self-esteem or self-worth, or idealism could play a role in terms of your self-worth or self-esteem. And a lot of this could be dependent and predicated on aspects, the major points in your chart. If this is making, say, a sextile trine, or even maybe in conjunction to your natal Jupiter, I would say it could actually be a very beneficial period for maybe doing something Neptune related that actually does that pays out well for your self-worth and self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. Let's say an adverse aspect to your natal Saturn, there might be some kind of despondency and really some you're talking about some sorrow in connection maybe with your self-worth and self-esteem, or some limitations or restrictions or loss in connection with that. You might find yourself doing something Neptune related in terms of generating income. It could be something with poetry or dancing, the metaphysical, which includes astrology, photography, anesthesiology, chemistry, anything that could be Neptune related. But guard against fraudulent money-making schemes, not necessarily by you, but people that might be trying to get you to buy into maybe some fraudulent scheme that really is not going to, that's not going to pan out, and the only person that might be benefiting is the person that's trying to sucker you into getting involved in that. So be very guarded and be very prudent at this time regarding financial situations. And if somebody is offering some kind of something or it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And make sure you're doing your appropriate investigations online or what have you into the companies you may be getting involved in terms of any money making ventures. So anyway, hold on a moment, people. Well, last but not least, Pluto will be in Capricorn still, so the 12th house is what will be emphasized and highlighted. At this time, you might be feeling where your power and control might be a little bit more restricted than usual. It could be that a death might lead to maybe some kind of secret sorrow, and also too, I know a lot of you don't want me to say the dreaded D word, but you know I'm going to anyway. In some cases, this could actually manifest in a literal or actual death of an aunt or an uncle or somebody that might have figured prominently in your private life at this time. And also too, keep in mind that also coercion or bullying maybe you've had to endure in some isolated cases might be tied into secret sorrows. You might be dealing with more upheavals in your private life. And also, it could also be about plutonian, like hidden adversaries. It could be people that are in the occult, which could include astrology, or people in recycling, or something with transformation, or working in insurance. Anything that could be Pluto related. And also, too, at this time, now, it could be where you might be dealing with, and also Pluto, like I said, is being connected with stalkers too. So these kind of people could be more hidden at this time and harder to actually view, because you're talking about the 12th house of restriction, limitation, and the hidden. So, and at the same time too, some isolated cases, this could be about developing or could be emphasizing some kind of obsessive or compulsive behavior disorder. And a lot of this could be predicated and dependent on aspects made, the points in your chart. If there's something, say if this is making an adverse aspect to your natal Mercury, or say this is squaring your 3rd house cusp, that could increase that propensity. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.